What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the latest episode of WWE The Day Of, focusing on Crown Jewel 2019. We just had a new episode of the show about a week ago, focusing on both nights of the 2019 WWE Draft. So if you haven't already checked that out, please do so. My review of it here on the channel. I think that went up on Tuesday, I want to say, because Monday I reviewed the Stone Cold Steve Austin debut of Broken Skull Sessions with The Undertaker, which was amazing. That review actually got like over 10,000 views, probably and counting, and I checked that a couple days ago, so that's pretty crazy. So thanks to everyone who checked out that review, very much appreciate it. Today we're talking Crown Jewel 2019, not so much the event itself, but rather the individual match of Lacey Evans versus Natalya, for the fact that it made history as the first ever women's match to take place on a WWE broadcast in Saudi Arabia. We kicked the special off with Lacey Evans saying that, this actually took place after the match, but it's a bit of a sneak peek of the of what's to come on this episode. We see Lacey Evans saying after the match that, you should have seen all the girls out there, it's crazy, and she's welling up, she's crying, she's emotional. So we get to that a little later on. The actual special kicks off with Natalya talking about when she found out about the match. She said that she found out officially when Michael Cole made the announcement at the press conference. I think the day of the show, I want to say. Either the day of the show or the day before the show. Not that major press conference they did like 3 weeks ahead of the pay-per-view when they announced Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez. They didn't announce it then. I remember that. I remember it was a last-minute thing, like either the day of or the day before, which was pretty cool. So I guess she had heard rumblings along with Lacey that they might be having a match over there, but nothing was set in stone, because this has happened before. I think that was the story with the last Saudi special back in June with Super Showdown, either then or Crown Jewel last year, when maybe Lacey, but a few of the women were flown out to Saudi Arabia on the off chance they might wrestle a match. They didn't, but it came to fruition here. They were just completely blown away, as you could probably imagine. They were told that they weren't sure about it, but Natalya was happy to be a part of it nonetheless. I guess Lacey Evans discussed before it became official, after she had heard some rumblings that it may be happening, she discussed with her daughter, who I guess travels on the road with her, so I'm not sure. She wouldn't have been in Saudi Arabia with her. I guess Lacey Evans' daughter, according to her Instagram, which I don't follow, Alexis told me, that I guess her daughter travels with her to a lot of the shows. She wasn't there in Saudi with her, but she did stay home with her husband, which was pretty cool. Because I guess her husband serves or whatever, he's not home all the time. But anyway, she was talking to her daughter about how this match, if it ends up happening, could make a major difference with how the women over in Saudi Arabia are, of course, viewed differently than they are in other parts of the world, and how prior to Crown Jewel, there had never been a women's match before in that country, which is pretty crazy. We hear from Kofi Kingston, who had said that there is no one more deserving of this accomplishment, of this moment, than Natalya. Calls it a historic moment, obviously going well back with Natalya to 2008, 2007. They, know each other very well. They've basically been in the company for about the same amount of time. We hear from Tyson Fury, who I'm sure gives no shits about this type of thing, to be quite honest with you. But he does say that change is coming, which is cool to hear from him. As he goes out there and collects $15 million for wrestling Braun Strowman on that same show, for a match that sucked, by the way. That's neither here nor there on this very special. But anyway, we hear from Baron Corbin, who says that WWE can help evolve things. They can help things evolve and help kind of push the boundaries with stuff like this, which is kind of taking it a bit too far, but it's nice to hear from King Corbin nonetheless. We actually see Big John Gaborik up next. And honestly, I had no idea this guy was with the company now. Maybe I had read that a while ago. I have no idea when he came back. I know for a long time he was with TNA, up until a few years ago, so I'm not exactly at what point he came over back to WWE, but he is with WWE in an official capacity, as we saw here. He's discussing with Natalya and Lacey Evans both that it's very special for this match to be happening, and that they are the two perfect people to be doing it. Lacey Evans says that she can't wear her hat to the ring. Of course, they have to cover up. I'm not exactly sure why she can't wear her hat. Maybe it covers too much of her face. I'm not sure. But she says she's gonna make the entrance work even without wearing her hat to the ring. Natalya says that she doesn't want the magnitude of this match and this moment, the entire thing surrounding the match happening in Saudi Arabia. She doesn't want that to hinder their performances inside the ring, so they don't have the match they're capable of. And truth be told, they're not really capable of having a great match, because prior to this pay-per-view, Natalya and Lacey had no less than 4 or 5 matches on Raw and on pay-per-view, and they were all fucking mediocre as hell. So this was really nothing new. So I'm sure the magnitude of the match wasn't really going to take away from the in-ring action regardless, but I can see what she's saying, though. Lacey Evans revealed that she actually told her daughter over the phone that she'd be wrestling in Saudi Arabia after all, because at that point she was already probably well on her way to Saudi Arabia. And I guess she told this really cute story of how she told her over the phone over FaceTime, and her husband had just woken their daughter up, and her daughter was kind of like out of it. She was still tired, and she goes, "Mommy, you're going to bring change," or something like that. "You're going to change everything," I think is what she said. And then she fell back asleep, which is so fucking cute. We then see Lacey FaceTiming her daughter and her husband, so cool to see them and see them make an appearance. Zack Ryder said that he was proud to watch Natalya compete after growing up in the business with her. Again, a lot like Kofi Kingston, he kind of came up in WWE with Natalya. They started in developmental together, got kind of called up together. Natalya was called up in 2008, Ryder was called up in like 2007, so only a few months apart, not too much of a difference. We also hear from Dolph Ziggler, who was very proud of Natalya, said it's great for the fans, great for the business, great for the country, and it said that Natalya is one of his longest tenured friends in wrestling. He has actually known her longer than he's probably known anyone else in wrestling. Because again, a lot like Ryder and a lot like Kofi, Ziggler was another guy who came up with Natalya through, I think, OVW, I want to say. Maybe not necessarily FCW, but definitely OVW, I believe. Because Ziggler was there before Natalya, but they were in the same company there for a while before they both got called up in 2008. Technically, Ziggler was on the main roster before in 04, 05, and 06, but not really until he was with the Raw roster in 08 was he officially called up to the main roster. But anyway, again, neither here nor there here on this review. But Natalya and Evans talk about how happy they are to be working with each other, and they said they would rather work with no one else but each other for a show such as this one. Evans thanks Natalya for the opportunity, and she's still relatively new to this. I mean, remember, Natalya's been with the company now for over 10 years. Again, like I said, she debuted on the main roster in 2008, so for her to be in this position makes sense, it's fitting. Lacey Evans, this is a huge fucking deal. In her rookie year alone on the main roster, she had multiple pay-per-view matches for the Raw Women's Championship with Becky Lynch, got drafted to SmackDown, even headlined a pay-per-view with Becky, Baron Corbin, and Seth Rollins back at Stomping Grounds in June. She's done a lot within the last 12 months of being on the main roster, and this being a part of it, wrestling in the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia, not something to be taken lightly. We also hear from Titus O'Neil, who said that Natalya is the best friend, one of the best friends he could ever ask for, and that he's really proud of her. He also said that, or not Titus rather, but Mansoor, who was obviously a Saudi Arabian native, he said that he's really proud to watch the match live and in person to see history being made right in front of his very eyes. Natalya talks about how the match is all about women's empowerment. And Evans, when asked about what this match means and what the reaction might be, she said that she's ready for it. She's done a lot within her rookie year in WWE between NXT, Raw, now SmackDown. But she's ready for it and thinks that it's going to be an interesting reaction. It's going to be a sigh of relief, she says, for fans to see her wrestling and for people to be like, wow, finally we can, have more women's matches on these shows. But like I said, she does say that she's ready for it. And, the women, they interview women in the crowd and they say that they're happy to see the women compete. I was surprised they kind of got in the comments there from the women saying that, it's a long time coming. I thought they would play up the propaganda thing, which this entire special is about. It's all propaganda. But it is a cool moment for the women. I mean, it obviously meant a lot to them, which was awesome. But make no mistake about it, this should have happened initially. This should have happened a long time ago. They just are letting women drive now, as opposed to fucking 50, 60 years ago. So they are well behind the times, but again, at least it's better late than never, I suppose. But they got some comments from the women in the crowd saying that it was cool to see Natalya and Lacey compete and they enjoyed it, whatever. We hear from Tyson Kidd, who's a producer backstage and the real-life husband of Natalya, who said that he thinks the reaction to the match is going to be insane. And then Lacey Evans says that she's blessed to be a part of it. She feels unstoppable being out there. Natalya feels like in this moment that, she can relate to every girl in the crowd as every girl with a dream who now sees the women having a match in Saudi Arabia, now knowing that this is something that could actually happen. This is something that could become a reality, something they never thought was possible even up until a year ago, And now that they see it coming to fruition, that they feel that their dreams can come true too. Kind of a bit of a stretch, but it was a nice quote from Natalya. It was a nice quote from Natalya nevertheless. We also see Natalya after the match, calling it a surreal evening. She gets really emotional. Lacey gets emotional. Lacey actually gets more emotional than Natalya, which is surprising because Natalya's she's a fucking faucet. She's leaking out tears every 2 seconds in every other scenario, but not necessarily here. We see her hugging Tyson Kidd afterward. We see her hugging Vince McMahon afterward, who said, "You did a great job. I'm very proud of you," which was cool to see. I'm not sure. I'm sure he said that. He was going to say that anyway, regardless of whether the cameras were rolling or not. But it was a cool moment anyway to catch on camera. Lana says that it's bigger than just wrestling. It's a big moment for the country itself. We see Natalya and Lacey hugging each other after the match, and Natalya says, "I don't know how it can get any bigger than this," that's a bit of a quote too far. That's a bit stupid. She's like, how can anything get better than this? I understand what she's saying is hyperbole, and obviously it can get a lot better than that for the women of Saudi Arabia. They should be allowed to do a lot more than just watching fucking women wrestle in their own country, but I can see what she's getting at. I thought it was just a bit of a dumb thing for her to say, like, oh, it can't get any better than this, like we just wrestled in Saudi Arabia. It obviously means a lot to her, as it should, but at the same time, though, she's acting like this is the fucking... the pinnacle of everything that is life. You know what I'm saying? Like, the next thing they can do is allow the women to wrestle without having them to cover up in the ring, wearing long sleeve t-shirts and long pants and stuff like that. I get that it's their custom for that to be the case, for the women to be wrestling up all clothed and stuff like that. I'm not saying that to go out there bare naked, but like to be dressing up in all these long, and all these layers out there when it's fucking 100 degrees in certain scenarios is a little much. But anyway, Natalya says that the connection that we made with some of our Saudi Arabia fans here tonight is forever. It's forever lasting. Lacey Evans says that she's very happy to have opened that door that wasn't open prior to that. And that Natalya says it was a really cool moment afterward with everyone hugging her, from the girls to the men to the boys to everyone in the crowd, the families. Everybody was surreal and everyone was so elated to see the women compete in Saudi Arabia. And that was the end of this episode of WWE The Day Of, focusing on the Crown Jewel 2019 event. A good day of. I thought the draft one was better. I just thought this was a whole lot of propaganda. Again, it was cool. I'm glad they're taking this seriously, because it is a big deal for the women to be wrestling in Saudi Arabia. Do not take that lightly. Do not underestimate it. It is absolutely a big moment for Natalya, for Lacey, the company, the women there. But they could do a lot better than this. So let's not pretend this is the biggest thing since sliced bread, because it's not. They still have a long ways to go for Saudi Arabia to catch up with the rest of the world. But for what this was, it was a fine special. Is it must-say, in my opinion? No. But if you thought the match was this great, accomplishment, which it was, but if you thought it was the biggest thing to happen this year, then this special might be for you. Otherwise, probably not. It does run about 20 minutes, so it's not too long, but it was a nice watch, if nothing else. So that does it for my review of WWE Day Of. Thank you guys, as always, for checking it out. Very much appreciate the support of the show. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll be back either tomorrow or probably Monday with my review, definitely Monday, of my review of the latest WWE 24 documentary focusing on Trish Stratus' return to the ring at SummerSlam. I think it's airing after Starrcade on Sunday, and Starrcade gets over probably around 8 or 9. So to watch it and then review it would take too much time. So I'm definitely going to watch it. I'll either watch it Sunday night or Monday morning. Either way, the review will be up early Monday, so keep an eye out for that. Nonetheless, guys, thank you as always for checking out my videos. Very much appreciate it, like I said earlier. And yeah, on that note, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm Graham Giusta Matthews. Enjoy the month of December quickly approaching. Coming up tomorrow as I record this, Christmas time is fast approaching. Very exciting stuff. But anyway, guys, like I said, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm Graham Giusta Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.